Traveling has always been a big part of my life. Um, I've always loved being in airports and being on airplanes. Um, Being alone on airplanes is one of my favorite things. Since I was, even before I could walk, I was on an airplane. Um, I was just a baby, like 3 months old when we left the country. So, um, yeah, yeah. I like the thought of airports and just all these different languages and cultures and people briefly being in the same spot for just like a little while and then passing on to a new place. So I was born in Texas, and then 3 months later my family moved overseas to St. Petersburg, Russia, where we stayed there for like 5 months. After 5 months there, we moved to Tashkent, Uzbekistan, where we lived for 11 years. And then we moved to Kyrgyzstan, where we lived there for 4 years. Then I went to boarding school in Germany for 3 years after that. Now I'm here in Boston going to school. See, I guess why I'd be a third culture kid is because, well, primarily because I haven't grown up in the country that is my passport country. I have a passport, American passport, but I've never lived in America for a very long time, except for now that I'm in college. And yeah, so I've grown up in countries that are different than my parents' own cultures, and so those, like Uzbek culture and Kyrgyz culture and German culture and all these different things have sort of combined into and meshed with my American culture and made who I am, and that is a TCK, I guess, now. But another thing that's kind of interesting is that it's not that TCK culture in itself sort of becomes another culture that adds to that, not just the fact that I lived around Uzbeks or I lived around Kyrgyz or Germans, but also that the communities I was in they were primarily other kids like me who are also third culture kids. So that in itself is like creates a whole nother like TCK community, like so that it's not just my like one TCK culture, but like a whole community of that, which is like so. But then it's different wherever you go. So like the TCK culture I experienced when I was in school in Kyrgyzstan was very much different than the TCK culture at the school I was at in Germany. So those have also been like huge influences, not just people from other cultures, but people who have also had that experience of mixed cultures in their lives. So when we first moved to Uzbekistan and moved overseas, my parents recorded a lot with this little camcorder we have, this little black camcorder, and we still have it. I've always been thankful that they recorded so many of those weird moments of just what it's like to go live in a completely different culture. And naturally I've always been a very more of an observer, kind of sit back and like watch things happen. And so over the years, just all the different places I've been in, like interesting people I've been around, I've gotten a chance to just like really observe a lot of different kinds of things, really unique things. But it's only just now that I'm realizing how unique those things were. And so now I'm starting to study film and think about that as a career path for my life. And it's just cool getting to this point and thinking about scripts or like material or like inspiration for things, and realizing that I've seen lots of weird stuff that would be weird for other people haven't experienced really, and that's a that's something I can use for my film and for my craft, like stories that I tell. Which everyone has their own interesting stories, but it's cool. I just feel very blessed to have experienced a lot of different things. But being a TCK has definitely grown in me a passion for cultures and a passion for languages. And one of the cool things about it is you get to see cultures, not just experience them, but after you experience different cultures in different places, you get a sort of picture of the context of that culture and the bigger picture. So you can see these like really beautiful, unique things, be like, wow, that's really interesting that this is happening like in this culture. But then also all the like strange things, you can realize that that's, you can realize the context that that's in. So I don't have to feel like this pressure from this one culture to do something that really it has no relevance in another culture, but it's just something that's in that culture. I'm trying to think of examples. The one example I can think of is, for instance, where I don't have a driver's license right now, which in American culture that's pretty embarrassing. I am a little bit embarrassed, but like I've also been in cultures where like having a driver's license isn't that big of a deal, and lots of people don't. So I realize that that's not like the worst thing in the world. Whereas like in American culture, that's like very uncool to not be able to drive yourself. So, yeah, in the end, looking back at living a life overseas and being a TCK, I wouldn't say that it's any better than anyone else's life or any worse. I think it's actually a really cool thing for someone to have lived in the same place for their whole life. So yeah, it doesn't make it any better or any worse. It just has made me who I am, and I'm definitely very thankful for it. And I wouldn't have changed anything if I had the chance to go back. My name is Luke Zavara, and I am third.